Hello everyone, welcome to the Jenkins weekly infrastructure team meeting. Today we are 28 October 2025. Around the virtual table we have Bruno Verharten, Hervé Lemeur, Thierry Reddy, and myself, Damien Duportal. Mark is off, so we don't expect him. Stefan is unavailable, and I don't think Kevin will join us either. Let's get started with announcements. So first, last week, we were able to successfully release the release 2.5.33 of Jenkins. We had the meeting last week on Wednesday. It was already done, so nothing else to add. I've just added back the remark about test. We had 3 test failure. We're not sure why, but in the end, after many retries, it worked. This week, the release started on time, almost 2 hours ago. Let's all check together if it failed and if we need to retry or if it's on the right direction. Oh no. Looks like we will have to retry it. Let me retrigger the build again. Oh no, it went well. Wow, I'm impressed. Oh yeah, we are in winter time, so that's why it's already finished. Okay, so it went well, and we are going to proceed with the tag and other packages and the usual checks. Let's see after this meeting. On the announcement part, the team is still slow, because yes, Stefan and Mark are unavailable. So Hervé is going to work again with us partially, at least for now, to help us. And Jay, you are focused on resting. Please, your body need rest and training on Kubernetes because that's where we'll need your help really soon. Any other remarks on the slow team, folks? Nope. Okay. Just a note, so last week we had the JDK patch for the last quarter of 2025. It has been published on Oracle. We already see some Adoptium JDK installer already available, but not for all JDKs and not all platforms. We will create an issue before next week, and we will start deploying this new version in the upcoming 3 weeks, as soon as they are available. Just a reminder, we have the infra roadmap. This one might be updated in November, but for now, still the same top level priorities, meaning the migration of Census and PKG virtual machine out of CloudBees AWS account and all the Azure depreciations, mainly Windows, hard drive, mechanical hard drives, some kind of instances if Azure stopped to be a joke. And there is a fourth one, but I don't remember. I need to double check. We have done the most important one to finish. We are clear to finish the year. And in November, we will update the priorities until Christmas. Any question on the infra roadmap specifically? Okay, do you have anything to add or a question about the Jenkins weekly releases or announcement before we go to calendar? Okay, so let's have a quick look at the upcoming calendar. Next week, Tuesday, 4th November, we expect to release Jenkins weekly 2.535. On the LTS release line, tomorrow we expect the release candidates. Usually that's not a hard ETA. It's expected tomorrow. It could be 1 or 2 days later, depending on the activity. And on the 12th November, we will have that new LTS release. Hervé, you are the release lead, if I'm correct. Cool. If you're watching this and have backport candidates, please wait in the email thread to help Hervé quickly, because it's tomorrow. We don't have any security release publicly announced, and we have still the 2 same credential expiring in the upcoming 3 weeks. One expire tomorrow. Stefan volunteered for this, but he has had some last-minute changes. So either I will be able to take it over tomorrow, or I will take care of the DigitalOcean one. That's not a critical one. It's only for us to manage DigitalOcean infrastructure. The Packer credential expire next week, so that one we have time. Finally, next major event will be the first day in Brussels, Belgium. That will happen 31 January and 1st February. We should have Jenkins. I forgot the name of that meeting. A Jenkins community, whatever event. The
Contributor Summit.
Contributor Summit. Thanks.
You're welcome.
With Contributor Summit, the 30. So yep, if you want to contribute, just come to say hello, whatever. Please meet us during that weekend in Brussels. Anything else on the calendar? Okay, let's have a quick look at the cloud budget then. On the CDF front, the Azure CDF front, we have effectively consumed 4.8K. The forecast is at 5.5, so that means we are way below the threshold. So that's really good because it helps the CDF to stay sustainable financially speaking this year and next year. So let's continue the effort. Ideally, if we could target a 5.0K per month next year, that would be perfect. But we are in the area where it starts to be hard to compress costs. Nothing else to add on CDF. On Digital Ocean, we see an expected increase in the monthly cost because we have added a new virtual machine, and that should continue once we will have finished the migration of the Census virtual machine. We still have credits valid until end of year. I'm currently finishing the drafts to contact Olivier Mansa or anyone who replaced him if he's not there anymore at Digital Ocean to see if they want to extend the expiry of these credits and or renew, or if they don't. On the AWS front, of course, like every week, I forgot to check the CloudBees one. I checked yesterday and we had a decrease in the expected monthly cost due to census and usage being stopped. So we are in the right direction. The next big step will be PKG as we expect. On the sponsored accounts, the one we use for CI, Jenkins.io, we see a huge increase in cost. That huge increase is correlated to two main things. First, we had way more pipeline builds and pull requests and workload on CI Jenkins.io than in September. Second, and the biggest one, we still have capacity issues, so all of these pipelines are retrying quite often to trigger or create machines, which fails and retry. That one has a huge cost. Combination of both make it a forecast is at 6.8K, which is 1.5K more than in September. We still have plenty of credit left. With the current rates, we have around 10 months remaining. With the current rate. Please note, yesterday we stopped using spot instances, which counterintuitively might decrease the costs, but it's too soon to see the impact because that means machines are available immediately. We don't need to do the whole request for a spot instance, have the spot start and then decease and then being reclaimed and then retry, etc. So maybe that will decrease the cost. At least it should be steady. Let's see in a few days. We are going to check daily cost. Before we go on the JFrog part, do you have other things to add, questions? Anything else to add on the usual cloud budget?
No, except that maybe we are having an unofficial JDK 25 upgrade campaign for some of the plugins. So it may be just a fraction of the cost, but you may see more PRs happening these days just because we try to move plugins to JDK 25. But
Okay,
I'm even not sure this counts as something that costs
maybe.
lots of money.
Maybe that could be interesting, but yeah, that's tricky to separate the kind of pull request, but yeah, that's cool. Hervé, you were going to say something? I saw you were unmuted. Okay. One last thing, and the good news on the JFrog area, we see, and it's effective, a very important decrease in the usage. We should expect 16 terabytes of downloaded data instead of 20 and even more. Yeah, we were expecting 20. JFrog want us to only consume 10, so we are still far away from the threshold, but with 3 terabyte less is a huge decrease. That means less abuse. The storage is now steady. We don't see any increase. That means the garbage collecting system that they're put in place is now steady. So that's good on the JFrog front. Anything else on the cloud budget? Okay, so we can continue on the operational tasks. First, the task we were able to finish during the milestone that we are just closing. On the support front, thanks Mark for taking care of Spammer and Jira. If we see others, I will take care of Daniel because Mark will be off until 10 November. Yeah, that kind of shit happens from time to time. I hope we don't have too much. We had a developer who had HTTP 5.0.0 issues when they try to automatically release a new plugin. In their case, that happened during the AWS outage. And JFrog is hosted in US East 1 in AWS. So yeah, in the end, the release was performed. It's just the API was answering HTTP 5.0.0, but everything went fine on our side, so that's good. However, that was also the opportunity for them to fix some configuration items. So thanks, Alex Brandes, for pinging them and team for the help here. Anything on these two items? On the keep platform up to date area, we were able to switch to the GA version of JDK 25 instead of the early available version we used to have since the past months, thanks to Bruno and Stefan. So now we use the official distribution that might have a patch soon. By the way, that was also an opportunity to improve sustainability of the platform. That was the first step, and we just finished earlier today. The Jenkins tools now are not downloading GDK on each build. We are using the GDK which are embedded inside our agents. If you see anything wrong with that new process, please open an issue. But that means less download from GitHub, less fragility of our builds, less reason to have builds failing. And also for us, it's better we just update the GDK on Packer images, and that's all. Any question on this one? Okay. Now, on the keep platform sane and maintainable, we have decreased the size of free virtual machine as per the Azure advisor. So of course, the advisor recommends specific instance family. And of course, you need quota for this family. And the quota was 0. And we cannot increase the quota because Azure has capacity issue. So we used another family that will be deprecated in 2028, and we will need another change and reboot of this machine once the quota will be increased. So yep, US East and US East 2 is also a big trash fire for Azure. It's not only AWS. Think about that next time you use Cloud Code. Anyway, CI Jenkins IO, we closed 2 issues that were duplicated, or at least slightly related to CI Jenkins IO, more of this later. But these problems are not there anymore as per the recent changes. We also had a Maven deployment issue for a plugin contributor. For a good reason, they only did half of the steps to change the plugin to CD, and they missed the others, including they missed the one with the repository permission updater. So if you don't have credentials, of course, you will receive a 401 error. They were able to fix the problem, do all the steps, and release the plugin successfully. Anything else on the closed tasks, folks? Or questions or things you want me to clarify? Good, so now work in progress. On CI Jenkins IO, we have 3 kind of issues. The most important one, the agent allocation. Since yesterday, we are not using Spot anymore. And we have defined two distinct family of instances for Windows and Linux virtual machine builds. So it looks like if you see agent allocation problem, let us know, because that helps us to detect, is it a bug on the EC2 plugin, which looks like it's the case currently as per last Hervé's feedbacks. If I confirm, Hervé, what we wrote, the job you sent me privately was not able to allocate machines, because in fact the machine were allocated, but the SSH connection was not finalized. It was done initially, and suddenly a bug in the EC2 plugin say, oh, I need to reconnect. Oh, but the SSH host key is invalid. And if you click on the button relaunch agent on the existing agent, it just reconnects. So that's clearly a bug in EC2 plugin. So for this one, no more spot on EC2 and distinct instance size for Linux and Windows. Should improve. Still see issues with EC2 plugin. Okay, need to look again after changes above. So the second issue opened by team, I need to have a close look now that we are not using spot instances anymore, because there are many subtopics within. So right now this one was on hold, and we need to resume the work on it, on this one. Improve UX, but we have to check budget carefully. And finally, the third one, need to resume review of Hervé's contribution. And I need to write things better. So thank Hervé for the pull request and the work. The idea is we might do a silent launch with the feature disabled if possible. I still need to confirm that. And then we will plan when are we going to enable authentication and CI Jenkins IO again. That's the goal of this issue, so we won't have the risk of being scrapped by dumb systems. So that's the status of work in progress on CI Jenkins IO. Any question, things to add or clarify? Okay, let's moving to the keep platform up to date topic. As we said, we have two credentials that expire in the upcoming days. They will be taken care by Stefan by default or fall back to me if he's not available. And so on the Jira part, that's a Jira instance issues Jenkins IO, which is hosted and managed by Linux Foundation for us. LF is ready for migration. They need a time window for the maintenance, 6 hours, 6 hours of downtime. But the migration was successful, confirmed by Mark and accidentally by Daniel. New security features in Jira, that's really cool. So since Mark is not there, I will take care of planning this with Ryan from LF. So we'll check when we do that. Ideally, we should plan next week. That could be during work days. I just need to check my schedule, but that means issues.jenkins.io will be off, of course. That's all for the platform up to date and Jira upgrade. Anything else, folks, on this one? No question? Now, on the topic of keeping the platform sane and maintainable on long term, we have the migration of the Census Jenkins IO virtual machine. So now, so we are going to kind of migrate that virtual machine to DigitalOcean, but not with the same feature set. By feature set, I mean all the services that used to run on that machine have not been used for years. There was at least an Apache server and other few things. The Apache server has been down or not available through TLS since days and even years for the TLS port. We don't need this. We found, thanks to Olivier Vernin, many reasons why this machine was shaped like this. The only thing is we have a data set of 30 gigabytes that is better to archive, but at least not to delete. However, the concept of that machine is that it used to be a permanent agent for trusted CI private controller, and we need an agent to perform the monthly aggregation of the statistics. So we are going to keep the same naming and create a new private machine in DigitalOcean, migrate copy the data here, and start setting it up as a trusted CI agent. Once it's done, we will be able to start working on automating the work that Andrew used to do for monthly statistics aggregation from that machine. The constraint is that this machine needs 1 terabyte of data disk at least, and it needs to be close to usage Jenkins IO, so it can sustain having a PostgreSQL temporary cache that aggregates the data. So that's why we need to work on this one, the VM in DigitalOcean, empty, but set up to be a trusted.ci private agent. The main change is that that machine won't be available publicly. It will be closed and only available through SSH from VPN or trusted CI. Any question on this one? So Stefan and I worked on this one. We will continue. And eventually, depending on how things are going in the upcoming weeks, maybe Hervé, we will ask you to take over the next step around the statistics, but we'll see based on your availability, hours, and motivation of everyone. Priority, stop the AWS CloudBees machine. PKG on hold. No, sorry, it wasn't on hold. Started to reproduce the packaging steps locally. Next step, run a dry run of packaging without publication only inside Azure. So the goal is to avoid the SSH command that we run on the packaging part. So we'll need to create branches on both repositories. But my first manual test worked. So now the next step is to see, since we have a copy of the packaging data on both PKG virtual machine in Amazon and on the local Azure file system, the goal for me is now to add this automatically in the release CI packaging agents. If it works and generate valid packages, then we will be able to start moving that workload and generation to Azure. Any question on these two machines, which are the two top priorities for now? Okay, on the cleanup part, we have a work in progress. I need to check it's almost finished to rationalize the use of JDK tools. As I said, we have stopped downloading JDK installers on each build. That's the first step. Trusted CI only uses JDK 21 now. We have removed JDK 8, 11, and 17 from Trusted CI permanent agent. The next step, add JDK 25 on Cert CI and Trusted CI. And then verify the patch or the JDK patches, sorry. Oh, that's out for me today. are delivered to all locations. That will be the next and last item for this issue. We have removed many code. The goal was to have only one way of getting the let's say the official installer URL. And additionally, there is something we need to generalize. Only use. Sorry, I added a new thing that was pointed out by Basil many time ago. Permanent agent now verify downloads. By verify downloads, I mean verify with the cryptographic signature, because the checksum we don't really care. The goal is to avoid us accidentally downloading on trusted CI or any private controller a JDK that could have been altered at the source or during the transfer. That could be an attack. Cryptographic checks on Packer images as well. We need to do the same on Packer image, at least for the JDK. That one improve our security posture. That's all for this task. Are there any questions or feel not clear because I'm talking a lot? Cool. Next topic, reduce permission of a bot on Jenkins CI cert. That was a request from Daniel. Should be closable. Waiting for Daniel last checks. So looks like that bot, which is used by release CI Jenkins IO to interact with GitHub, mainly when we push a tag during Jenkins release or when we deploy things. That bot, which is a technical GitHub user, not only should be replaced by a GitHub app as soon as possible, even though it's not a danger, but it's not expected to have access to Jenkins CI cert except in some certain cases. So Daniel has reduced only on the cases they identified on their own. We don't have access to that organization as a reminder. Any question on this one? The need to replace this bot, which is a GH technical user, by a GH app. Okay, next topic, the disk changes for the trusted agent, which is using a hard drive. That one has been delayed because of the quota limits. Delayed due to quota. Yes, we also had quotas on the kind of disk we can use. And also because we need a new zonal virtual machine. Details on the issue, but yeah. Yet again, Azure says you should do that, but you cannot do that because you have a list of requirements they don't explain or even not even document. So we are waiting for the support to unblock these things before we can create the new VM. Right now it's on hold. Any question on the keep platform sane and maintainable? Okay, keep platform up to date. As per a feedback to the Jenkins security team or a report, we have many services which are still using TLS 1.0 and 1.1. That includes all of our Fastly backends, front end, sorry, all of our Cloudflare services. They all use deprecated TLS systems. And we have a few others, including pkg.origin. So at least for Fastly and Cloudflare, we need to disable absolutely TLS 1.0 and 1.1 and allow TLS 1.2 and 1.3. I expect it to be possible through the Terraform provider we are using to manage these resources, but yeah, we need to work on this. No emergency, just let's say day-to-day improvement. Any question? Nope. Okay. Finally, on the support area, we have two issues. One that was on hold needs to provide non-spot agents on infra.ci.jenkins.io. For now, it's on hold. So the job sometimes works, sometimes fails because it takes many hours to generate that report. And we are not really at ease with optimizing this. Daniel had ideas, but last time Daniel worked on this, parallelizing all these requests to GitHub API just made it worse than it could be. Not slower, but worse because it wasn't consistent, and it must be consistent because it's used by a repository permission updater to grant permission to the plugin maintainers. So it must be slow because it needs to be consistent. Now the problem is we use spot instances not to pay too much on the Azure CDF account. So of course, quite often the spot instances are reclaimed after 10 hours of build. There might be optimization here. Gensec team is should be consulted before any changes if we change the code here. But we can work on providing a virtual machine non-spot kind of agent on InfraCI that costs a bit more, but that will be okay. Any questions so far? Last one on hold needs to fall back to the board. So I'm waiting for the end of the election to the new board. I wasn't able to get an answer from our friend at I think it's Gitter Elements. I lost track. That thing is too much for me. It changes all the time. It's not clear. Yep. On the infra side, we consider that channel is lost. And if the board want to take over and try their chance, no problem. Be my guest. But as a Jenkins infra, I consider that one being lost. Okay, that's all for me on the work in progress. Are there any question, things to add, things to clarify, or to discuss on the work in progress part? Okay, on the triage, the new issues or the issue marked as triage, I've selected 4 new issues to add to the upcoming milestones. First one I created yesterday, we had an incremental Jenkins IO outage. We need to deep dive on this one because that's the same problem as what we have 2 weeks ago. And there seems to be weird behaviors of that user. So in order for the problem not to come back because we're not sure to understand it properly, we'll create a dedicated user for incremental because it looks like that release boat LDAP user seems to be used on many locations. So there might be interaction between our systems. Since incrementals is only here, that account is only used by incrementals to connect to CI Jenkins IO. I think a dedicated user will help to separate the blast radius. Upgrades to Kubernetes 1.33. So the idea is that Hervé will lead this effort, and Jay, you will help Hervé as soon as you start feeling good and good enough with Kubernetes. You might be able to help Jay like you did with Stefan and I on the previous update, though. I'll let the two of you synchronize and sync. As usual, the first step for now is to have Packer images with the new version of kubectl, the client side. And then, as usual, changelog reads, and we have to plan the different upgrades. Hervé, I let you take care of checking the 2 past upgrades, the one I made and the one that Stefan and Jay made. So you can start planning for this one. And on that, you also have your experience as you already did that kind of upgrade for 1.33 on CloudBees CI. Any question, things to add or clarify on this one, folks? Okay, cool. I let you, Jay and Hervé, synchronize on this one. I'm adding back the stats generation task to the milestone since adding the new census machine as a trusted agent is part of that task, and we have to work on this as soon as possible. Finally, Hervé, as we discussed, I'm adding the support for Windows 2025 right now as a high-level placeholder for what we need to do. No emergency for this one. Um, let's say the most important part is getting rid of Windows 2019 before March 2026. However, as we discussed, if we're able to only run Windows 2025 machines on the platform and use Docker Desktop instead of Docker C in Windows, so we can run Windows 2022, 19, whatever, with only one single kind of machine, that will be less pain for us and less credit to spend on building these images. And that could allow us many other things. So right now it's a proof of concept part, and Hervé, that issue is where you will report the work you tried with Windows 2025 and Docker Desktop. Is that okay for you? And then we will decide the next step once you have confirmed or not, or that either it works or it doesn't. Are there anything else to add on this one specifically? Nope. Okay. I don't see other issues that should be on the new milestone. Can you confirm or tell me if you see other issues that should be added?
No, all good.
Cool. So all the other issues are going back to the backlog triage. Are there anything else, folks, you want to add, discuss, clarify before we stop the meeting?
No, all good.
Okay, so I'm gonna publish the recording and notes later today or eventually tomorrow. Let me stop screen sharing. I'm gonna stop recording. So for people watching this recording, see you next week.